sometimes if a guy comes too quickly, we feel quite proud.
Welcome back to Lustcast. I'm Tommy McDonald, and today we're going to be talking about how long men should last in bed. It's something most guys are worried about at some point, but today we're going to tell you exactly what women expect from you in the bedroom. And we're also going to explain what's meant by all-night sex, and we're going to go into some of the reasons why you might be finishing too fast. But more importantly, we're going to tell you what you need to do about it if you do. But before we get into things, just want to remind you to like this video, subscribe to my channel. My channel's still quite small, so you can really help me grow it. For this episode, I'm really lucky. I'm one of the few men that got to visit the Babestation studios, and I got to ask 3 of their presenters how long they actually want men to last in bed. We had a really good talk, and I think most people are going to be surprised by their answers. The Babestation models I got to interview were Scarlett Minks, Roxy Winters, and Chloe May. Make sure you tell me in the comments if you agree with them and tell me how long you think men should last in bed. Enjoy the podcast. How's it going?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
I know, it's my first time here.
I know, that is
Very
exciting
exciting
for you.
I was saying before, I think when I came in, that when I was a teenager, I used to watch this channel.
Yeah.
Like, more of curiosity, I don't think I even could afford like premium rate phone calls.
Yeah,
when
no,
I was
I
that
think
age.
everyone did.
On your parents'
I
email.
have too, yeah.
Boys and girls.
Yeah.
It was like, what is this?
I
It's
knew
just-
what it was.
Yeah, even like grandmas and mums like happen upon it and they're like, oh, what's happening? And you
Yeah.
can't, it's like hypnotic.
I
It
remember the
is. I
first
think
time
it's
I
not being
discovered
able
it.
to know what they're saying. It's like you're trying to like
Yeah.
lip read, like what's going on?
What is happening here?
The mystery of it all.
Yeah.
I
Now
remember the
you're
first
here.
time I discovered it because like I'm Australian and so we have nothing, like babe channels do
Mhm.
not exist in Australia, like nothing like this. And so obviously like camming and things like that, yeah, but not on TV.
Oh, wow.
And when I try and explain it like to my friends back home, they're like, what? Like they have no clue about it. And the first time I ever discovered it when I first moved here, I was just flicking through channels late at night and came across it and was like, what on earth is this? I was so shocked. And that was years before
Little
I even
did you
started
know.
here. I know.
Now look at you.
I think you just
But
grow
yeah.
up knowing what it is in this country. If you
I
think
know.
you just-
It's so fun. Everyone
iconic
knows what
here.
it
It is
is.
iconic.
It's
It's like
iconic.
part of British culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I've been working like in the sex industry, let's say,
Yeah.
for 10 years, but this is the first time where I'll speak to my friends and I'll be like, oh my God, you went to studio.
Yeah, you went to the studios?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
People
Oh,
know.
right.
That's cool.
It's old school, isn't it?
It's fun.
It is. It's good.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're talking about how long men should last in bed today. Really intellectual topic, but an important one, a very important one.
I think so.
And I think, you know, men probably want to know your opinion on what it actually takes. So should we just get right into it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
not too long.
So I'd like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That
we
was
can
our
all
general
agree
consensus.
with
That's so
like
funny.
not too long.
That's
I
so
don't wanna
interesting.
Be bored.
that's what it's
Yeah. That's what we
However,
said
like
before.
I said, like foreplay is so important.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, take your time.
let's go for it.
Yeah.
That's different. And also, like once it's commenced,
Mhm.
stopping, going back to the foreplay, and then continuing.
Mm.
That's good. But just like too long, it's like, oh God, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a snack, like you.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, don't go too long. I'll need a snack. I'll need a nap. Like, you know, allow it.
I have a feeling a lot of guys tuning in are going to start watching and go, oh, it's fine.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
it's
okay.
fine. Cool.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Everything will be okay.
A lot of relief is like,
I think
Yeah.
it comes down to how much you can turn a woman on as well. Because for me, I really like that feeling of like being turned on. I think that's like just as important, like the foreplay,
Yeah.
as the sex. Because the sex can get repetitive and
Yeah, it can.
boring.
And I think the thing that like is probably way more talked about now too, but is still like an underrated topic is that not a lot of women can come during sex. And that's not down to a guy and his performance. Like
Mhm.
it is just your body. And like a lot with women as well, it's how in touch with your body you are
Mhm.
for a
Yeah.
start. But a lot of women physically just struggle with that, like outside of anyone's
Mm.
control. And so like you said, like giving detail to foreplay and things like that,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that if you can't come during sex that you're going to have a bad time. Like women love having sex regardless. Like if you're having a good time, it doesn't always mean that's because you're going to come. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you can just have great sex no matter what. And like it is very hit or miss in times like that. It's not always a go-to thing.
I think that comes down to like people focusing on an orgasm being the goal, and it shouldn't be the goal.
Yeah.
So then that's for both.
Yeah,
So I think that's a guy finishing and a girl finishing. Like, let's just enjoy this.
Yeah, I come
For what
pretty
it
quick,
is,
actually.
instead of focusing on trying to get to that end thing.
Yeah. That's why edging's a thing.
Absolutely.
And I agree with everything you girls have just said.
Yeah.
Let's actually just look at the penetration part.
Yeah.
And because I think guys, even with all that, they still kind of want to know, like, how long should you last?
Literally, how long should I last?
Like, what's your ideal?
I come pretty
situation?
quickly during sex. I mean, I know you said not a lot of women do. I come pretty quickly, so I don't need you to last.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Like, I'm unbothered because I can, like, I can come quite quickly if I'm having good sex.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like, if I'm having a good experience, I can come quite quickly.
10 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
If I was going to say, like, how long I want to have sex for, I had sex twice this morning. I had sex twice this morning.
How long?
And he gave me head in between each session, 30 minutes.
Well, all together?
All together.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. We had sex
how many
twice,
times did you come?
I came twice each time we fucked, and and he came both times.
Oh wow!
So,
and that's
like,
in 30 minutes.
And like, I mean, like, that was amazing. We had a great time, the both of us. But that was half an hour, and that was really. I mean, I was late today.
How long was the penetration part?
Oh, I mean, I weren't looking at the clock.
But
what
would your ideal be? Let's say.
Ideal?
Yeah, put a number on it.
12.
12 minutes.
How about that for a number? I'm picking a number.
Was it like 20% of like the entire 30% of your entire session, maybe?
I would say 10 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah, for just like literal penetration.
I
mean, a quicky's great. A 5-minute quickie.
Well,
that can be so fun. A quickie is brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a little question. So I've got like a kind of follow-up question to that. So it's, how long do you think the average guy lasts in bed?
I think that's actually a lot less than
it is.
Than,
it
like,
is.
I think
5 minutes.
I'd say on average, like, I'd say a lot of guys would last like,
I would say 5.
I'd say 3 to 5 minutes.
That's
like an overall average.
Like, you've been unlucky. It's like 5 to 7 minutes.
5 to 7, yeah.
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 And it takes an average
happy with that.
It takes an average of 13 minutes for women to have an orgasm.
Oh, well, yeah, that actually sounds about right, yeah. I've had a guy put it in before and just literally bust straight away, and I'm like,
oh yeah, I've had that.
But that's when you've got to carry on and do like the round 2, and usually they last for the second time.
This is what I was going to say.
What do you do in that
saying like, how long should the like, obviously it also depends on if that guy can go again afterwards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is going to be potential round,
because that is a trick. If you come quickly, if you can go again,
done, and that's that.
Some guys can't go again.
Some guys
can't.
A lot of guys
like some guys need like
again,
like some guys need
I think
recovery
especially
time.
like the older that you get,
that's
the longer the recovery time is, because you've not got the levels of testosterone you once did as a younger male.
Some guys say they can't, but they can.
Yeah.
They're like, no, I can't carry on, and you're like, well, let's try this, and they can.
Do you think?
Yeah, I've convinced some guys. Yeah.
You convinced?
Yeah, and they're like,
talk
I
them
didn't
into
think
it.
that was possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think like you said, like I can come quite quickly if I'm having good sex. Like if I am, like, depending on who I'm sleeping with. I've definitely had plenty of sex in my life where I haven't come at all. But if I'm sleeping with a person that I'm enjoying the experience with, and like we're having good sex, I can come super quick.
Yeah.
Like I really can.
Yeah. Especially if you're super turned on.
Yeah,
it comes
if you're
so much
really
quicker.
turned on, like even without a lot of foreplay,
Yeah.
if I'm just really turned on and really get, like I can come quite quickly. And I know that's definitely not all women, obviously. But I do think there's an element probably of that means I don't need to have sex for ages.
Yeah.
Like, and especially after, like, for like my body, I'd assume a lot of women's bodies, after you've come quite a few times, it can be a little bit jarring on your body to then keep being stimulated. Like sometimes you kind of, like, you need the recovery time.
You get sensitive.
Like you get too sensitive that it then becomes a thing of, it's actually hard to come again because it's just too much stimulation.
Yeah.
So you kind of need a kind of cool off period to let your body settle and then build that up again. Not all people, obviously.
Well, this is
Not
my question.
everyone I sleep with.
I'm glad you said that like quickies can be good, that it doesn't have to be long, because I was thinking about this in every other aspect of our life. If something goes on a long time, it's because it's boring.
Yeah.
Whereas-
yeah, that's true.
So like, so
Like
maybe
you're trying to drag it out to make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Repetition.
But maybe the good sex, maybe it did take longer and it's just better, so it just flies by.
Yeah. And time flies by when you're having fun.
That is very true.
I actually measure it in songs. So if
Oh,
there's music
yeah.
on, I always go, oh yeah, I did at least like 3 songs, so I'm fine.
So that can that's good.
so
That's
good.
good.
That's
Yeah, that's what I
good.
used to do with like driving to somewhere. Like if you were driving or every time I walked to the station, I'm like, oh yeah, it takes me like 4 songs together. It's fine.
I
If you
don't
see
know
how
if
many
I've ever had sex
episodes
to
went by.
music.
Pardon?
I've never had sex.
You're
to-
missing out.
I don't have a lot of sex to music. I have to,
Really?
like I have.
So,
I have, but like it's not, I don't throw on a sex playlist to
yeah.
have sex. Like that's
I
not
mean, I
a,
would like to, but I don't think like it's.
you'd get distracted.
I would
I
recommend
start singing.
next time you do have sex,
Yeah.
cue up like the Benny Hill theme tune.
Yeah, classic.
Just
I'd love
just for
that.
fun.
Just try it.
Yeah,
Just
that,
try
that
it.
would be actually hilarious.
Yeah. No, I've
Love it.
definitely had like a song playing before where I've been like, I'm sorry, I really vibe this song. So I'm going to need a minute to appreciate the song. Like, just give me a sec. Yeah. And a lot of my songs on my playlist are really embarrassing. Like, I have
Yeah,
trash
they are.
taste in music. Yeah.
Oh.
She knows I have trash taste in music. And so some of it's really bad. So I'll get embarrassed. I'll be like, please don't judge me. Like, this
Yeah,
is really
my music
embarrassing.
taste is quite eclectic.
Yeah.
I couldn't just put my Spotify on like, oh, it would be just the weirdest.
I also feel like it's kind of seen as the man's job to put the music on for sex.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
know
I'm
why
missing
I think
out.
that too.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe I think that, and that's
It's
why
like
it's not happened.
candles, food,
Setting
Music.
Yeah.
they're like that's our job.
It's funny too.
I
Like
haven't-
that's so cruel that that's the assumption that it should be the man's job. It's almost like the backwards version of a woman should be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like a man should put on the playlist.
Yeah.
Like it's
Like the
almost
candle.
sexist.
Yeah.
A man should set the sex up.
Yeah.
But even at a party, you know, it's always the guys that are fighting over like
Who's
what
got the-
songs.
yeah,
to
like-
be
Oh
told.
no, I don't
Tracks.
agree with that.
Yeah, no, that's what you would.
I do get involved
Oh,
with that.
well, I'm
though, yeah.
taking that,
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't.
Can I put my
one will
phone
allow
on?
and I don't blame them.
it. No, really, it's fair.
So a thing I'm curious about is how common is it that a guy does disappoint with, say, how long he lasts? Like, what would you say, what percentage of guys, say, finish too fast? I hear some sighing. That is the
Yeah.
answer.
I'm trying to like track back on like sexual experiences
Yeah,
where I've
same
actually
as.
thought that was too quick.
I feel like I've
Mm.
always gone again when it's been too quick, so I don't think really been disappointed.
Yeah, and I guess it lasts longer the second time.
Yeah,
think-
always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always
Yeah.
that's like when a guy's like, you know,
He's a little spent.
if he's had some, you know, time on his own earlier,
Yeah.
then he's going to be, you know,
Yeah.
lasting longer later.
Yeah, well, he should be doing that if he has problems.
Yeah. I also find as well, like, I don't know if this is all people, but I feel like in my experience of sleeping with someone like that's not just a one night stand, that's someone that you like are sleeping with for however many months or years or whatever, that when you first start sleeping together, and I'm sure this is a man's mentality of how long they should last in bed, like that fear of, I don't want to come too quick,
Not wanting to
is that when you first start sleeping together, you spend far more minutes having sex. And the longer you're sleeping together, you'll just get shorter and shorter. Like you kind of just do because you're like, oh, we've been here before. We can do this.
And also it's like, you know what I am capable of.
Yeah,
You know what to do.
I don't have to
do.
prove myself every time.
You know what we can do. So yeah, I find that as well. And I think the pressure of a guy thinking that he does need to last a really long time, like,
But
I don't think it's about that.
No, and I think it's more in a guy's head that they're kind of maybe anxious and feeling like there's this pressure to last long. And I think that obviously comes from the sex industry and what they've seen online.
And from
Actually,
music.
reality, and same with girls learning stuff from what they've watched, and that's not reality.
Not just, but every song talks about all night sex.
Yeah.
In a man's head, that means like, oh, I have to stay rock hard
for
and
hours and hours.
just
No, but
keep
they can come
pounding
multiple
for-
times in that night.
But
I
I
think
don't-
that's what that sort
Yeah,
of means.
rather
That
than
is
just one
penetration.
I
Like,
think
all
when
night long.
men think sex, they think
Absolutely.
penetration.
Yeah.
They don't think
of
about
course.
it.
Maybe that's the issue
that's
there.
the issue.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
what's here.
And like thinking of it like that, like you can have sex all night, but it's not just the one
It does have to be
sex.
penetration,
You know,
penetration,
like,
penetration.
yeah, like you can do
take
that and then
time.
have a
It's
snap.
the foreplay
Yeah.
thing again. Like,
Yeah.
just enjoy that. Let it be a session.
Yeah, like enjoy each other.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be
Sure.
penetration. Just enjoy
Penetration.
being with each other, even if it's down to just like laying in bed, touching each other, kissing
Cuddling,
and talking,
fondling.
and you know, like just having a chat in between. Like there's nothing better
Yeah.
than being able to have sex with someone and have a laugh
Yeah.
in between round 2, round 3. Like
yeah, because
Well,
otherwise
that's what
it
all
lacks
night sex is.
intimacy.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like,
I think if you can do that, there's more intimate, isn't it? Just having a quick
yeah,
just lacks intimacy, and that gets boring very quickly.
Mhm.
yeah, having
You lose that
conversational,
connection, don't you? You're
Yeah.
building anything. You're just,
yeah,
like,
and the
going straight in
conversational
for the kill.
intimacy
For
of that
sure.
makes such a difference. Like I think that's what's far more important, and also being aware that like not all guys can just go again and again and again. Like yeah, you might be able to go 2 times, maybe 3 after a little while, but often they can't. So like having that really relaxed, intimate like
Yeah.
conversation and communication
Mhm.
means that it doesn't matter if they can't or if they've come too quick or
Yeah.
anything like that, because you're relaxed with each
Yeah.
other. So it's not
It's better not to have that
important.
pressure.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's no pressure because you're just comfortable with each other. So you can be really okay with that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and you can't like if he comes before you even get the chance to, whether it's round 1, 2, 3, or 4, that you've got that intimacy with each other, that you can either giggle about it or that just no one's bothered by it
Yeah.
because you know that
Yeah.
like things are going to happen again. And, you know,
Yeah.
like, and as well, like if a guy does come too quickly and is aware that the girl might be kind of disappointed about that, like if she hasn't come at all or she wanted more, be generous. Give her a head, like
Yeah.
play with her, do some things to
hours.
like, yeah, like just
It's more than just
do
sex.
more things.
Yeah.
Like it is more than just sex.
Mm.
Like I think that's
Like,
what girls want.
Sex isn't just penetration.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think guys have got to get that out.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like that is
Yeah.
really like a tiny bit of what this is about.
Yeah.
do girls
what we want.
realize how big an insecurity it is for men?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for
Like-
sure.
I think it took me a long
I
time
feel-
to learn that though.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm better at like reassuring and being like,
Yeah, I was going to
"It's
say,
okay
like when
now,"
it
like,
does happen, do you like take that into account? And
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
not
it's
awkward
important
and
to talk,
things.
and I think you're not going to have good sex if you can't have open communication
Yeah.
with that person. It's the same when you say like having a giggle. Like you need to be able to laugh in sex. Sex
Yeah.
is funny.
Yeah.
Funny stuff happens.
Yeah.
If you've got this
Yeah, you
pressure
make
and
funny
and
noises. You do all
also,
sorts of
like,
things, and you've got to be able to just be okay
this
that that's
pressure
what
and
bodies do.
anxiety is going to hinder your sexual experience
Mm.
because you're going to be so like pent up and like stressed about, oh my god, what if I don't do this, or what if that doesn't work?
What's
Or,
she gonna
What
think
if
of
I come
this?
too quickly?
Mhm.
What will she think?
Yeah.
We don't care.
Yeah. No.
Pleasure us in other
And-
ways.
And often on that as well is that sometimes if a guy comes too quickly, we feel quite proud.
Yeah.
Like our egos get a mad boost. We're like, oh yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you feel
I was
good about
gonna-
yourself for
I was gonna
sure.
say
I
about
always,
this.
if I finish quickly, I always say to them like, "Oh,
You
I
were
was
just
just
so
too
beautiful.
excited."
Yeah, that was
You're
like
just
phenomenal.
so gorgeous.
It just
I
felt
couldn't
so
get
good.
past
Turn it into a
that.
It's
positive.
an ego boost. You're like, and if it takes too long, you're like,
What's wrong with
Yeah,
you?
what's wrong with me?
I was
I
thinking,
knew I
like,
looked fat in this outfit.
yeah, like what have I done wrong?
Yeah, no, literally, like
Yeah.
it really can
It's
for
the
girls
flip.
be that
Yeah.
ego thing of like, if
Yeah.
a guy finishes too quickly, you can feel so good about
Yeah.
yourself.
Like my pussy
Yeah.
feels so good.
Yeah,
man.
my pussy is so tight
Yeah.
tonight. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it really is a thing.
Okay, have you ever broken up with a guy because he finished too quickly?
I've not had enough relationships.
No.
I may not have seen them again.
It seems like it's not really a thing from talking to you, but I was just curious.
It's not
I
like
don't-
finishing to again. That's not the problem.
I don't think that's the problem. I think if the sex was just bad, like if you weren't enjoying having sex with the person for sure, but that's definitely not a reason I've broken up with someone.
If a girl does that, that's pretty deep. I mean,
I
come
think so,
on.
but I think that
Yeah.
if the guy like finishes quickly and you're just like, whatever, and there was a real like lack of aftercare and like
Yeah.
other stuff, and I'd be like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah, I'd just be put off. But I think as well, a girl would find that out way longer than needing to break up. Like you would discover that before you entered into the relationship and be
Yeah.
like, oh, this person isn't for me.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
our sexual chemistry didn't work, or I just wasn't feeling it, whatever it is.
Yeah, but
We just wouldn't
sometimes-
get that far in.
But sometimes you are really attracted to someone and you like them a lot, but the sex is just bad or whatever. And you do kind of try to hope it gets better.
I think I've done that with people before, where I've had sex with someone but really appreciated the connection we have, or I just find them as super hot or whatever. So I really want it to work. And so I've definitely had that before, where I've thought, no, I can put up with this for a minute. Let's just see how we develop. Because also you have to build on sex, like not necessarily chemistry, but you're
Get to know each other's bodies.
Yeah,
it's
getting to
about
know each other's
trust.
body.
You have to trust
Turn-ons,
each other, man,
trust.
and that
Yeah.
takes time. That doesn't come straight away.
No, absolutely.
Pardon the pun.
Lol. No, absolutely. And I do think there is an element, I think for me anyway, where if I don't have chemistry, like sexually, or just like say you were going to go on a date and the chat was bad or whatever, there is a thing for me that if the chemistry is not there, you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
Like if it's not there,
It's not
you
there.
can't create it.
Mhm.
Like your chemistry is just there from the get-go. Like
Yeah.
you want that person so bad. And maybe when you first start sleeping together, it's kind of not hitting right, but you're still into the person. Like there's definitely
God.
people that I've slept with that it's not there and I'm like, it's just not going to be there. So it's just not going to work. But there is an element of if the chemistry is there, but the sex didn't quite hit right the first couple of times, you can build on that because sometimes you do need to get to learn
Absolutely.
a person's body and see how you will connect.
But that's like, you're going on like a joint exploration together.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not going to know all the things straight away. Like
yeah.
that takes time, and again, communication
And
and
trust.
Yeah.
like building on that.
And if
also, if you're nervous, there may be a chance that you just like bust straight away.
yeah.
And I feel like it would
Or
be
not at all.
or not,
Oh, not at all.
But I feel like that would be cruel to just go off of that first
that
time.
first experience. And that's the thing as well. Like if
Girls
a guy
sound so nice.
if a guy is like coming too quickly as well, maybe that's then partly on you to also discover a bit more about them and how to keep them going a bit longer to suit your needs too. You know, that you have to explore things together to know, okay, how do I not make him come too quickly? Like, what can we do to long this out a little bit more to 5 to 7 minutes?
Yeah. I want to go into like the reasons why men might come too soon. But I think first, I just got a few fun questions.
Okay.
Which they might be really weird, but it's just my personal interest.
Okay, cool.
And
I'm here for this.
Always fascinated.
It's also fun to just hear a guy's perspective of
Yeah,
this too, because I'm a
I
bit
mean-
like, why do you think you come too quickly?
Yeah, why do you
I'm
think-
curious. I think it's me, but
Yeah, you're the problem.
Some of these questions I wrote down before I spoke to you, and like now I was like, oh yeah, this is just like
this is so good.
so
Yeah.
easy, it's so
I
nice.
love this.
But so my questions are kind of like, are there like types of guys that last longer or shorter?
Ooh.
Very
Like-
sexual guys, I would say, actually last longer.
Yeah, I
really?
feel like guys that are really,
In touch with that.
in touch and like really,
Like
just really like sex.
That clearly
Like,
have a lot
don't
of
just see
sex.
sex as penetration.
And they have a lot of me time.
for them, it's like a hobby, right? Like
Yeah, like it's something that they really like less like a hobby, more like a passion thing that they like. They enjoy it so much that they want it to be an
Yeah.
experience for both of you,
Yeah.
not just for them.
Yeah.
I
Because
feel like
some
guys
people,
that
it's
do
just
come
fulfilling a
quickly.
need, isn't it? Like when some people eat, they eat for fuel,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
others, it's an incredible
Yeah.
event.
I always had that with my two cousins, both girls. When we were kids, my grandma always used to say those two girls who were sisters would smash food, would just like eat food so fast, so quickly. And I'd be the kid that'd be there with like ice cream melting down my hand. And my grandma would always say like she just enjoys every bit of food that goes into her. Like she doesn't want to race through it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bit of a thing too with
Yeah.
guys and sex.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they just want that end result that they think is just coming.
Mhm.
Whereas other guys who really enjoy sex and are a bit more in
Mm.
touch with themselves and their bodies can enjoy all the bits leading up to that too. Like they enjoy all the sensations that come before just coming, you know?
Yeah, and I wondered if there's differences between, say, cocky, more confident guys and like more
I don't
You know,
think so.
things like that. I don't know.
I mean,
It's like sometimes they want to show off, don't they? Look how long I can go. But then sometimes
They're the ones that
it
come the
might be like,
quickest.
yeah, they
Yeah.
come the quickest. And
I
it's
don't
like,
think you could say that like for your
Yeah.
actual question.
Yeah.
I don't think you could say that like statistically, like shorter guys come quicker,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? Like
I don't.
I don't think
I
there's
was just
anything
curious. I
that I
wasn't sure if
could
there was any
pin down.
patterns.
No, even like
No, it's like-
personality, anything like that. I
No.
don't think
It's
there's
just
like
random.
a consistent.
I think it's the same as being like lining like 5 guys up and being like, he's got the biggest dick.
Just
Yeah, just trying to
don't
pick it out of
know.
the thing.
Oh, I feel like girls do that still anyway.
Mm.
Like when you look at someone, you'll be like, oh, he's definitely got a big dick. You just don't know. There is no correlation, even though we try and like
Say
guess.
there is, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the same with how long are they going to last. Like you could be like, oh, I think he'd be really good in bed, and then
just
being
gotta
like, oh,
try them.
Or being like,
just,
oh, I
you
don't
gotta
think-
try before you
yeah, but
buy.
I don't think they're going to be great, and then being an absolute stallion.
Yeah, I saw an
Yeah.
interview only recently where a girl was talking about she can always like look at a guy and see and tell if he's circumcised or not. And so they were showing her photos of these guys that they'd obviously asked, and she got every single one right.
Love
and I was
that.
like, that's
Wow.
brilliant. Like,
Wow.
she just
Perfect
looked,
sense.
and it was no like, you know, short, tall, big, small, whatever.
Like,
It was
no
just-
correlation.
She was looking at him like, yes, no, and got them all right. I think
Love
it was like
that.
5 of them, and I was like, that is brilliant.
Pure
I loved
talent.
that. So I don't think there's like a statistical answer to that, like
Mm.
personality or physical attributes.
We might
who
try
last.
and think, and we might try and trick ourselves as well.
Yeah,
you could be
Try and
disappointed.
think you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there is no
Yeah, we all
correlation.
have biases, don't we? Like,
Yeah.
my next question is kind of the same question. It was more just for you. Is there a difference between the Australian and British guys?
Oh, I hate
last
Australian
long-
men. Oh, they're so great. I was literally just watching, what was I watching last night where an Australian guy got interviewed and I was like, God, the accent is so awful. And I was in bed with this guy
How could you
and I literally
say
said, I was
that?
like, I don't know how you have sex with me. I was like, we sound awful. And then I paused and I was like, actually, no, it's the men. I was like, there's something so cringe about Aussie accents on men.
I like it.
But I just, yeah, see,
Oh,
like, I think
wow.
British girls like it. I just find it awful.
I
I
watch
just hate
Love
Aussie
Island
men.
Australia, so yeah, I hear a lot.
You like it?
I think
They're
Aussies
all
sound
different. They're all
sound
Yeah,
different.
they are.
Like,
But they're not different like Birmingham and
They're quite
like
different.
Manchester.
I think they're quite different. Some of them are really strong and some of them are like a bit more subtle. I'd say.
Really? I've
Like
really
this girl
found the
that was
opposite.
from, like,
I think we all
Perth.
sound the same.
She had the strongest accent ever, the girl from Perth. And then there was like, yeah, it depends where they're from, I think.
That's so funny. I've never thought that. I
I-
always say we all sound the same.
No,
I've
you
only
don't.
had 2 Australian accents. There's like the Australian accent, and then there's like the kind of little bit classier Australian accent.
Yeah, there's like bogan accents, and then that's what we call them. Like that's what we call.
Bogan.
Yeah, like I don't even know how you say that. Like
Outback.
whether they're like, yeah, they're like more like people from the outback or a bit more like Slovenite type people. We call it like a bogan accent.
For
It's
me,
a bit
that's the
rougher.
Australian accent.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
most people would think the Australian accent is. But
so what
like,
your
yeah.
accent is?
Oh, sure.
Mine's classy one.
I'm classy. I'm classy. No, I'm not. But no, I don't think. I can't even remember the last time I had sex with an Australian. I actually can't remember. Like 2018? I actually can't remember.
Not that memorable.
Yeah, no, it really
Six-
wasn't. It really wasn't. Well, it was in the bathroom of a bar. So,
British boys.
you know.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
it's
was a- that was a
Australian
quick-
style
that was
as
a-
well.
Oh,
That was
yeah,
a
yeah,
quick
yeah. While he was on a break, he was working at the bar.
Oh my God.
Love that.
But
Then-
no, like I don't
So you
I don't
prefer
think
to
I
have-
could define it as longer or shorter in bed for sure, but I just know I don't
It's
like
just
them.
that you prefer to have sex than be rooted. Is that
Ah,
the-
brilliant. God, I haven't heard that in a minute. See, that's why I don't fuck with Australian men. Because we say things like
Like
rooted.
pash.
Yeah, pash.
Give me a
yeah,
pash.
pash. Yeah, we've got some
Slang.
awful.
You say
awful-
hey a lot in Australia. They say hey a lot at the end of their
Hey?
sentences.
What do you
Hey.
mean? Oh, A. A.
Oh, it
not
sounds
hey.
like hey
Oh,
in
well,
Love
hey. Yeah,
Island.
yeah, yeah. When you're
Hey.
like saying something, hey. Yeah, no, actually, it is hey. No, A is English, isn't it?
I know Australian better than she.
Yeah, you really do. I've lived here too long now, okay? Yeah. No, I couldn't. I couldn't tell you if they last longer or shorter, that's for sure. Mostly because I've just tried to block them all out.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna let the compliments for British guys soak
Yeah, for
in.
British
Yeah.
guys, we can all just soak in. And can all just soak in for all of them.
I don't know.
Yeah. You disagree.
I think we all like the opposite of ourselves, don't we?
Yeah.
I've always had a
like-
thing for any foreign girl. It's like,
Any foreign
yeah,
Yeah,
any.
like, oh,
Like,
British
it's just-
guys, like, God,
But
really?
it's not that I don't like British girls. It's just like
It's
just
exotic. It's
yeah.
See, I
Yeah,
like
it's
mine.
something
exciting,
different.
It's new. It's like, yeah.
It's like how people always ask me, why do you live here when you like come from Australia? That's so random.
kind of crazy.
And I'm always like, yeah, but I'm from Australia. Like, this is different. This is something more interesting to me because I grew up there. I spent so many years there that being here is something nice and different. So it is just that foreign, exotic, something new. It's not your regular.
You learn more and it makes you more open-minded, I think, as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think exploring like different cultures and that, like it does because you just learn different things from different people. Like, maybe not from Love Island.
Yeah, well, actually.
Love Island is like, I don't know, it's like, does more work than the British ambassador, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's what people think of England now. It used to be Geordie Shore, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, it's a bad representation.
Yeah, I know.
When I lived in Italy, Geordie Shore was the most popular thing on TV.
Oh, really?
It was so bizarre.
I used to watch it at the gym, to be fair, like way back in the day, years and years ago.
I wonder if it was popular because of Jersey Shore, because they were
Oh,
like
Jersey Shore
was like
Italians
brilliant.
and Malays, and they were
Chelsea.
like, oh, this is like the British version of, oh, that was.
Yeah. It was just something different. But yeah, no, I Love Island Australia makes me so cringe. I can't watch it. It feels awful. It feels awful. We just don't know how to do reality TV.
I love it. I think it's brilliant.
There's some great
Brilliant.
clips from the Australian one.
Oh, it's
There was
brilliant.
one where there was this Australian girl explaining
The sun, the moon.
barista one,
Oh,
where the guy was a barrister and she was explaining.
I think I saw that one.
What, like barista and barrister?
Yeah,
Love that.
it's just amazing.
I see the one. The
I
girl
mean, you
was
can't
like,
be that bright if you're going on Love Island to begin with.
I mean,
can ya?
yeah.
You don't have a huge prospect for what you're doing in life.
She was
I
like,
think
look
they
at-
play
no
up to it
offense.
though, right?
they do what?
I think they play up
Fuck
to it,
that,
don't
didn't
they?
I?
Oh yeah, some of them. One of them was like, look at the moon. It's so big. Did you know it's bigger than the Earth? And I was like, oh my
I
god.
think I saw that one as well.
Stop. Did you see that? Yeah, the
My
Australian
TikTok
girl.
is very similar to a girl's TikTok.
Oh,
I'm
I
not gonna
love
lie.
Love that.
So let's get back into lasting in bed. So obviously, if a guy lasts less than a minute, or like a minute and a half, less than a minute, then it is called premature ejaculation, and it could be a medical condition. So yeah, I'm not sure if girls are aware of that,
Yeah.
but
I've heard of premature ejaculation. I
Mhm.
didn't know it was before a minute, and that
Yeah, I
if
wouldn't have
guys
known the
do
actual
that,
duration of what that is medically classified.
and I
as.
didn't know that if they had that
Schooled.
like if they are consistently doing it, then that definitely means they have that.
it doesn't definitely mean they have it. But
Yeah, it's not
it could be
definitely
an
a
option.
medical condition, but it can be.
yeah, but
okay.
it's basically, I just think we should definitely say that if that is happening to you regularly,
Yeah.
then you should definitely see a doctor
Yeah,
and
Yeah, because
not
it could be something.
not be embarrassed about
My
it, 'cause it
friend
could
did
be
see someone
mental,
who
it could
had
be
that.
physical, but it's something you can fix.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I
yeah, if
think
it's
for
something that's
guys, it would
ongoing.
obviously be quite a like
Hard thing.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
to the doctors about it a lot of the time.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I
but-
think it's because it does feel like
Does that coincide with having a small penis?
I don't believe there's any relationship,
Really?
but
I
I'm
thought there-
fascinated by that now, and I'm going to look
I
it up
thought- I
as soon as
thought
this
there
show ends.
was.
Yeah.
I
More
thought
Google
I thought
research.
there was, and like yeah,
But
like,
if it's mental, maybe it does because
yeah,
of the
maybe
insecurity.
like micro penises.
Must be hard to talk about with the women that they're seeing as well. Well, actually, I think
my
I'm.
Yeah,
friend who
explaining that.
experienced it with someone, and she did end up stopping seeing him.
I really.
But they were quite young, so I don't feel
Mm.
like the level of communication was maybe like
right.
at the
Mature,
level
yeah.
to be able to talk about it in the right way. But yeah, it's
and,
unfortunate.
Yeah.
and it can be a sign of like more serious health problems. So
Oh
like
yeah.
we really like there really should be no shame and no stigma
Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
of just going to the doctor. Like making an appointment, you can do it online.
And also
and they've
going
had
to the
You
doctor
don't-
is far less
Yeah.
embarrassing than going
Yeah.
through it with girl after girl.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
going to a doctor and talking about a possible medical condition is
Yeah.
far less embarrassing for a guy
Oh god, the
than
doctor's heard.
having to. Yeah,
So
literally.
much
The things
worse.
I've told my doctor
Yeah.
before is far more embarrassing than that
Oh my
conversation.
god, yeah.
Yeah, and even if they do it, you know, you can get like a virtual appointment with your doctor. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
need to inspect everything right
Since
away.
COVID, half of it's on a phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just really want to encourage that.
Yeah,
because-
yeah,
Absolutely.
no, for sure.
So-
And
Go
like,
to the
but-
doctors.
Yeah.
Don't be scared.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, it must
Improve your
be-
sex life and your woman's as well.
Yeah, and just your own. Yeah, imagine how many relationships have ended just because someone is embarrassed to go to the doctor.
To get the right
Yeah.
help, absolutely. I'm
And-
all for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and truly, like, it's far less embarrassing to have a conversation medically with your doctor about that than it is to constantly go through premature ejaculation with potentially new women all the time.
A girl is going to respect that a lot more.
Yeah.
And also feel like, oh, like, you know.
And if it is mental and they just refer you to a sex therapist, like that's okay. Like, I know a sex therapist and people get really good results with them.
Yeah. I know a really good sex therapist as well. Yeah.
A boy or a girl?
A boy. Yeah. Very good. Nice. I recommend for everyone.
10 out of 10.
I recommend
therapy for everyone. I am that girl now.
I don't know, but I always think of sex therapists as sex workers. This is like just a me thing. Like,
really?
Yeah. I put them in the same group.
I don't have that.
It was kind of like a bit of a fantasy of mine for a long time to have sex with a sex therapist.
Oh. I feel like that would be really interesting.
That'd be a really good
content idea.
I thought like, oh, maybe they'll give me some tips.
Yeah. But I mean, that's like having a chef cook in your house kind of thing, you know? It's like the same kind of thing. You're like, oh, I get to personally experience your expertise. You know, like that would be an interesting experience.
Yeah, well, I guess like men might have it with you girls as well, where like they think, oh, because of your job, because that you're going to know some secret, so it's going to be different.
That you may be different.
And it's not, obviously, like with the sex therapist I met. Oh, sorry.
You're like, well, I don't know. I'm pretty good.
Yeah, we are.
I'm great at my job and I'm fantastic in bed. So, you know, correlation.
Well, with sex therapists, it was just like, oh yeah, it's just a normal person. But it was like, I had to get that box ticked.
Yeah. No, interesting. Yeah, I know a sex therapist, but I don't think I've even had like deep conversations with her about her job or anything like that. And it's not.
When I say I know a sex therapist, it is my own therapist. Well, I see on a weekly basis.
I see my sex therapist.
You didn't do what I did then. That's why I was like,
no, I ain't like
you recommend him, do you?
No, it's not like that. It's
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
The reviews will just be mad.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'd consider a sex therapist a sex worker though.
I don't think I'd do that.
It's just that link for you.
I don't know, maybe it's more a female sex therapist because I guess I only notice the hot ones, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So, and they're all over Instagram.
Yeah. I think it's...
And they know what they're doing.
There was a girl recently who I've seen on like Shade Borough and things like that a lot that's been coming out, and they say, you know, like Shade Borough on Instagram?
No.
Oh, it's like a thing on, you know, Shade Room? Like the US one? Okay, whatever. It's just like celeb gossip crap. But they kept talking about this girl who's a sex therapist. And then one day, I can't remember how it came up, like in my mind, if it was mentioned in this article or if it was in the comments or something. But I was like, how is she a sex therapist? Like what has she done to claim that she speaks on sex? And I could not find a single thing about her that defined her as an educated, qualified sex therapist. So she wasn't like
a psychosexual therapist.
Yeah.
She was just someone that claims
she knows a lot about sex and can tell you things. And I was really like, what then defines that role? Like, how do you, like...
I think therapist has a qualification, but then
therapist has a qualification,
educator, and that's a bit different. That has a qualification, but it's a different qualification.
Yeah. And I just wondered, like, do you educate on that, or is it like self-education? Like that's something that you want to specialize in.
Yeah, being a psychosexual therapist is a real thing.
Yeah,
you have to go and get like.
There's a lot of self-appointed people as well there.
And that's what I think is these days. Like you said, you see it all over Instagram, you know, like you see this all over Instagram. I think a lot of people are just self-appointed and mis-selling their skill. Yeah, like, and they just want to talk about things and think they know a lot of things. And they might provide great advice and learn a lot of things along the way. But I do think it's a thing that people do self-appoint these days. And so I think like my trust level of things like that is a bit more skewed because I think like who says you're good? Yeah. Like who says you're better than me and can tell me what's right and wrong? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I would definitely go to a doctor first, especially with
there's actually like a therapist directory online for like qualified and like you can go on there
registered
therapists so you can see who's legit and what qualifications, etc., where they've worked, what they've done, what they specialize in. I think that's how you would find a legit.
Yeah.
And they do miracles, really, especially when couples go in sometimes.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. No,
I'm honestly like a big advocate for therapy. Like, I'm all for it. Go do it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Can I just say one more thing?
Anything.
As Columbo would say. You just said about sex education. I
the
feel like
TV show.
But I feel like, but that just made me think about actual sex education.
Oh,
So
like the show, yeah, I'm into it.
yeah, that duration of how long you should last, I think that should be spoken about at
I think so.
that point, because I think that could actually save a lot of people from many years of embarrassment or unknown or, worry. If that's spoken about then, being like, this is normal, this is okay, not going into the big wide world and being like, oh my God, there's something terribly wrong with me.
I actually looked up the current curriculum and it seems like there's multiple competing ones. And I think charities put them out. But the one I saw, they did discuss corn and how, like, they explained to children that you don't need to last as long as you're doing corn.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good thing. But I don't know if that's been expanded around the UK. I don't know what America does.
Yeah.
And obviously
they weren't
a lot
even
of kids
labeling what a clitoris was.
Yeah.
That wasn't even spoken about.
Oh, it was just puberty and having a baby.
And about
putting a
20%
condom on
of
a
parents opt their
cucumber.
children out as well. So
Yeah, which is just
doesn't
awful.
help.
That's
Yeah,
not
it's sad. And hopefully they get good
Like,
sex
just-
education at home, but
Yeah,
probably
I don't think
not.
that's
Thing,
true.
I think.
And then I think it just amounts to a whole lot of shame for young people, not knowing and being really ashamed of what they're doing or what they're thinking about, or all of that stuff.
Women and men.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I do think generationally now, like, because we're as we've come through generations of people, now we're kind of at a time where us, like, younger people having kids, we're so much more open-minded than our parents or our grandparents were.
Society
So I
has
think,
changed massively.
I hope that does convert into the way more parents talk to their kids. Because, like, I always tell it as a really funny story, but it was also a really great experience for me as a kid. I was quite young. Like, I want to say I was maybe 8 or 9 or something like that. And we always used to watch Seinfeld at home. That was like, I'm an only child. And so me and my mum, my dad would always watch Seinfeld. And that was like our funny, like The Simpsons and Seinfeld was our every evening show. And there's that one episode where they have the bet, which is who can last the long without having a wank. And so it's like between, 3 guys and a girl, and they have this bet. It goes on. So the whole episode goes on. And after we'd watched it, we got in the car to go to like a friend's party somewhere. And it was like a 45-minute drive. So we're in the car. And I don't remember this conversation so much, but I know my parents retelling the story all the time. I'd obviously sat in the car pondering this episode for a while, having not understood the actual joke. Like, I didn't really get it. And so I said to my parents in the car, like, I don't get why it was funny, like what was going on. And so my parents were like, oh, so it's about masturbation, like blah, blah, blah. And my parents are ridiculously open with me. Like, it's it's almost insane how much my parents are open with me from the youngest age. My parents were like, if she's old enough to ask the question, she's old enough to hear the answer. Because they'd rather me know something rather than be misled by a teacher at school or friends or a corn or like whatever. And so they told me what it was. And I remember getting to the party and going to find my cousin because I was like, oh my God, I just learned this thing. Like, you know that thing we've done? Like that's what that is. Because we'd talked about it before, but not known that masturbation was masturbation. And it was so funny. Like, that was a huge sexual learning experience for me. And it was fantastic because my parents are incredibly open-minded and really honest with me, and they're just wonderful in that way. My mum on New Year's Eve, God, I hope she doesn't watch this because she'll be so embarrassed, but on New Year's Eve, I called her a day or so afterwards. They went to Greece. They'd been staying with me and left on the 30th, and they've been in Greece, and I called her a day or two later to just have a chat about something, and we were on FaceTime, and I was like, oh, what did you guys do? And they were like, we walked around, we did all this, we were like doing this in town. And my parents don't drink, but when they go to Greece, they love a drink, and they're always really proud to like tell me that they're drinking. Like, they think it's really cool and that I'll think they're cool. And so she was like, we had some drinks, and then we got home, and you don't need to know the rest. And I was like, it's brilliant. My dad is 72, my mom is 63. And they were like, yeah, that's what we did on New Year's. And I'm like, I love it. Like, that's how open my parents are with me. Like,
I have a very similar relationship with my mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I really appreciated that growing up. Like, I thought that was fantastic. And so I hope, like, generationally, the way we all are now, like so many people, not just sex workers and Babestation models and sex therapists, like people are so much more open-minded, the conversations we all have, that I hope in these newer generations having kids are much more open to those conversations at home, because I don't think schools will change that dramatically for a long
They
time.
definitely don't teach you
And
enough.
to an extent, nor should they, because I think, like, I find schools very off in the way that each kid is made to learn the same way. Like, everyone's educated the same. We're all expected to just learn the exact same way. And that's not how children or people work. We're all incredibly different, how we receive information and how we process. And so sex education just at school, it may not change too drastically, but also, like, I don't think it needs to be the be all and end all of sex education. I do think learning those things at home where you can have more personal, open conversations with your parents in a really comfortable space is much more healthy.
And parents know their children better than anyone, and they know what
How to
their
approach
learning
that
style is,
conversation.
what shocks them, what they're
Exactly.
comfortable with, what traumas they've had.
Yeah, exactly. And what traumas they may have passed on to their children as well.
Yeah,
Like things that they want their kids to learn from, because they may resurface for them if their parenting, has guided them in certain ways or whatever. So I think that's far more important. And so I hope that generationally that does change.
I'm really curious if there's more erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation with modern people or in the past.
Yeah, like if it was an older problem or a newer problem.
It's only really been talked about from about the 1850s. I tried to dig up history about it, but even medically, they didn't study it before. It was just too taboo. So in the past, I guess you just suffered, but I don't know. It was a simpler time, People.
We've got a very sexualized society.
Yeah,
nowadays.
we didn't have the
Well, I think-
expectation on
Well, I
men
don't
to
think
perform.
women weren't speaking up. Like they
female
do
pleasure
today.
wasn't important.
It wasn't
right?
important. It was
No.
very much a man's thing, and it was to make a baby and da 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 da.
Although
Yeah.
that said, in the Bible, female pleasure is emphasized quite a lot.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get specific.
Yeah, but then it's just, I do feel like, I don't want to go on to religion and
Yeah.
stuff like that. 'cause that's a
No, I
whole
just
different
like
conversation,
thought,
but,
actually,
paganism was very
But I think it
much
goes in
going
cycles,
for
doesn't
it, and
it?
then Christianity was very much like
going against it.
and like this stuff wasn't spoken about. Women weren't talking about their own self pleasure really, even with their friends and stuff. It was so taboo and things like that. And I think also it would bring shame upon their family if they were to go and speak about their husband not being able to perform or satisfy them. Whereas now, society's changing, taboos are different, and I think it was probably worse because people weren't getting the help that they needed,
Yeah, for sure.
or wanted.
Yeah. I feel like nowadays it'd be more of a taboo to not talk about it. Like that would be more frowned upon in this day and
For
age.
sure,
People
yeah.
would be much more
Oh, you
shocked and appalled if you can't have a conversation with your partner about premature ejaculation,
Yeah.
That I would like to agree with that, but
I think that's a very
I think
very broad statement.
I
but-
think we're quite biased by our professions and that we are very open people. And I know from my male friend groups that men are not like women. The only thing I've never heard a guy say to me, "Oh, I'm just coming too soon.
I'm coming too quickly. Yeah, guys don't talk about that kind of stuff as
it's
much.
just oh yeah, I shagged her, and it's
Yeah.
even
There's
whether
no
they did or
detail.
didn't. There's no detail. There's no insecurity broadcast at all because
Because
he
it's a
would never
macho
hear the end
thing,
of it.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's that hierarchy in friend groups as well.
Absolutely. I think you would be deemed, unfortunately, potentially
Less of a man.
Yeah.
But some guys
Yeah.
will probably
To
laugh
talk
about that. And they'll probably be like, oh, she made me come so quick, with their friends. I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah,
guys that would be
I
like that
often
as
think
well.
that
Yeah.
would that not be a thing that a
Yeah.
guy would
Yeah.
say?
Yeah,
Go and show me off.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be. I just don't think I would,
And
yeah.
I think the same as well. I find it really interesting hearing what a guy talks about with his friends. And guys don't often share those kind of conversations half the time because it's not
Yeah.
very interesting.
The way he'd
a
say
lot of
that
it.
would be he would say something like, "Oh yeah, she just wouldn't stop." You know?
Yeah.
It'd be
It's more of a brag
Yeah,
than it is
yeah.
talking about any kind of issues sort of thing. Yeah, no, I do know what you mean. I do think that's more of a thing guys don't have. But I also don't think that's anything other than outside of sex workers, that men's brains and emotional kind of desires are very different to women's. Like we need to talk to our friends. Like as soon as I came in today, you're like, I need to talk to you about some things. Guys don't necessarily, like lots of men do, I'm sure.
It's definitely
but I feel like
better.
guys don't do that as much. And I don't know if that's down to stigma and things like that, or if it really is just mentally the way men are inside themselves, like, you know, chemically, physically, like the way they are, their genetics, that they don't have that desire.
I think if we have female friends, we might speak to them about
women
it.
more, yeah.
Or like a close relative.
Yeah. I think that's because women are much more empathetic though than men tend to be. And again, like that's more of a, like not a stigma thing. That is just men in general, like chemically or genetically or whatever it is. Men just aren't as nurturing and empathetic a lot of the time. Not all men, of course, but I think as a general.
I think there's also, like with male pleasure, if we are not climaxing or we're climaxing too soon, it's obvious there's a problem. Whereas with female pleasure, it's more of a puzzle to be worked out.
Yeah.
You need to like talk and swap notes and like even while you're discovering when, you know, even now, like girls never stop like learning and, oh, what about that?
Yeah.
Whereas with men, it's like, we know how it works.
Yeah.
It's like,
you know how to do it.
So any talking is about it. So we're talking in a negative usually if we're going to talk about something.
I do find I live in quite a small town. So we all know each other. And I do find a lot of the guys do talk to me about sex very openly. But that's because I'm there to listen and to talk to without judgment.
And I assume they know what you do
and
for work.
And because of what I do for work, I think even more so now. Like, they will chat to me about stuff more openly. Which is good. I think.
I find the same with my job.
To have people like that, to do that.
People open up more.
And then like talking about like lasting long and the show around it, like what about erectile dysfunction?
That's a huge problem, like for like as in not a huge problem, like lots of people suffer from it, but the people that do, it's a huge problem for them.
We'll do a whole episode on that.
You need a whole other talk for that.
And I think also like I will say with the coming too quickly, whatever, like also like as a girl being aware that if you're not getting wet. Okay. Like I have struggled hormonally since having children. Like,
we had this conversation a little while ago, didn't we?
I feel kind of like the same, like, I don't know, I guess what a guy would feel like if he's not kind of, because I will come still, but I'm still like having this like internal thing being like, oh my God, like I am into this, but why is that not happening?
Why does it not look like it?
Oh my God, are they going to think this? Are they going to think that? Do I have to like be over the top now to make them think, you know, I just have this whole internal, I was like, girls get that kind of thing as well with sex.
We get insecure and we get worried like that. We were having that conversation because I wanted to go on a new kind of contraception. I wanted to get an IUD, and I was looking at like the pros and the cons of like what that is. And one of the things was that like you can get less lubricated, like you won't get as wet. And I was like, oh, I'm not having that.
I was like,
I cannot do that. I was like, if I get it put in and that happens to me, absolutely not. I will get it removed straight away. Because that's a big thing for me.
Oh my God, and then you're just thinking about that the whole time, which is probably what guys are thinking.
That's
doing the same way.
You know? So like girls can relate in that way. It's not exactly the same, but it's very similar.
It's a similar.
Takes your mind to a completely different place, then you're not in the moment, and then everything else starts going wrong, and it's like
because you're thinking
I've been told
at least I've not got to hold an erection.
You come too quick.
I've been told I come too quick, so there you go. Right on the other end.
That's just rude, though, because it don't make a difference.
I've had a guy tell, well, I don't know.
He was just like, oh, that was too easy.
I think like, afterwards I'm a bit like,
rude.
I get a bit selfish and I'm like, I've come now. Can we kind of
Can
like speed things up now? Your turn. Come on. Chop.
I want my snack.
That's what's like, you come too quickly, you know. If you slow down, then, you know, sometimes I'm actually the problem.
But that's another...
I'm the problem.
I'm the problem.
So I guess just to like wrap up and bring it back to the main topic for a bit, because we've talked about like medical issues, we've talked about the general thing, but like it's not always a medical reason, I think, why a guy comes too soon. And I wondered like what your opinion is on how often do you think it is just because he's being, say, selfish, or just like, because too excited is maybe being selfish, right?
I think nerves, definitely, like psychologically, I don't think selfish comes into it.
So you don't think selfish?
Well,
I think selfish can really come into it.
I don't think if you're just...
That would be the stereotype,
like,
I think.
If you're coming without like, you know, you're unable to stop it, then I don't think that's...
No.
But if you can hold off, if you are able to go for longer and you're just allowing yourself to just fucking...
You're thinking of
See,
people that
I
are looking
would-
for coming as the end goal.
Yeah,
That's
like
selfish, but
I'm
yeah.
thinking less about like people that do it like not because they
enjoy
are
it.
Okay,
trying.
yes, yeah,
I'm just saying in general as like they've come too quick. It's not on them. Like what you're thinking about it. I think a lot of guys
Yeah.
can just come quick because they're just there to come.
Yeah.
'Cause I
That's
You know,
right.
so
focusing on
like
them.
they're just there to come. They don't
Yeah.
care. They've taken you home or whatever, and so they
They've
want
used
their
you.
end result. They don't give a shit.
Because my opinion is like, if I don't want to come, I will stop myself from coming. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that hard.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Like-
pull out and do something else.
They just stop for
Do
a
a math
second.
problem.
Like,
Yeah.
you
Have a
can
game of
go,
backgammon.
you can go slower, change position.
Think
Yeah.
out your nan.
And do something different that isn't
Yeah.
getting you
Like,
right to that point.
Yeah,
for a
you can
minute.
do like different length thrusts.
Yeah,
You can.
yeah.
There's so many things that you can do.
Or just
to
in
not
or out,
come.
for fuck's sake.
Yeah, change the
Finger
activity.
me, I don't care. Like, you know, if you don't want to give me head, finger me. I don't give
Yeah.
a shit. Like,
Yeah.
just, you know, pace it out for your own sake. Because
Yeah.
sometimes, like, coming too quick means that your pleasure is over really fast too. And
Yeah.
having sex is really fun. So
Yeah.
why do you want it? Why do you want it to be over so quick when you could
Yeah.
lengthen it out for yourself? If it's not a medical condition, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, just-
Obviously,
Fine line.
yeah.
Just for the man's own ego, I think he should be doing that. Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if you, okay, I guess maybe if it's just like a one night thing, you might not care as much, right?
Yeah.
Still, wouldn't you want to walk away being like, wow, I really
Like-
did bids there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I want to
really
give her
made
friends
her
something
a
to talk
good
about.
time.
And I think that's the selfish
Yeah.
people is that they don't care about
Yeah,
that. So I think
yeah, okay,
selfish
yeah.
is a big part of that. Is
In
that there's
that-
just guys
in that
that don't
respect,
care.
yeah.
They're just there to get their end done and that's it. So like
Yeah.
there is that element. But yeah, no, I
But they should have personal pride in them because like girls talk and
Girls-
most communities, are even if you live in a big city, you tend to go to the same
you
places.
go to, you go to
You
the
have
same
like a
bars.
People are gonna
triangle you
know.
live in,
All the
don't
girls are
they?
going to be like, yeah, he's just...
Yeah, you got to protect your
But then
reputation.
if you will know, if a guy's good and girls are talking about it, you're
Yeah.
going to know that guy, you want to go there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to visit that.
Yeah. 5-star Yelp review.
TripAdvisor.
TripAdvisor.
I'm still campaigning Tinder to just add ratings.
Oh, honestly.
Oh, it would get so
would hit.
harsh though, wouldn't it? The,
One
if you were like
star?
one, absolutely shite.
Yeah.
It'd be like that Black Mirror episode. No, God.
Oh, come on, it'd be so. It just takes the,
I feel like it would
the
increase
guesswork out
suicides.
of it.
Yeah,
Saves
yeah,
so
yeah.
much time.
True.
I'm a huge fan of that Facebook group that's it's
Oh,
only
yeah.
for
Oh,
women.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah. It's called Are We Dating the Same Guy? And
Oh.
it's like for cities. And so I'm part of the one in London. I signed up to it after I left my ex because he was a prick. And I was like, I want to see who's out here on this. I wanted to post about him, just be like, red flags for everyone. And some of them are jokes. Like it's brilliant. And the other day I was like going through it and I messaged my neighbor who is just on Hinge constantly. He is the sluttiest man alive, bless him. And I messaged him, I was like, yo, can I just post you? Like, I want to post someone and I want to see who comes back with
that.
reviews. Because girls will, like, not so much sexually, like, they kind of don't get, girls might, like, PM each other and things like that, maybe have more
Of a
vulgar
detailed
conversations.
discussion,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
But
want to
they
get my
will-
ratings.
Yeah.
But also, I want to know if I'm doing anything wrong.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So,
exactly.
I want-
But yeah, it is really funny. It's a brilliant group to be a part
Maybe
of.
like
I love it.
with the Tinder thing, have an opt-in or out thing. Because if you feel like you can...
Although they're not
anyone-
gonna
if
do
you
it.
can
Crush
handle
you.
the review.
It was
They're not
gonna
listening
crush
to me,
you.
sadly.
Oh.
Yeah. They haven't read the emails.
Yeah.
We're just getting towards the end. Is there anything else you want to say to guys or any tips for them for specifically for like around this topic, around lasting longer?
Wank more.
See,
Hold
that's
on.
very interesting.
Yeah, no, wait, hold on. I've got a really interesting story. I can't remember if I've told you this or not, but I've got a great story. Well, not great, but still. So my flatmate told me a story about two of her friends who are over in the States who were in a long-term relationship. I think they actually split up for a while and are now back together. But when they first started sleeping together, he said to her, I can't come during sex. Like I can't come during sex, right? And the girl was a bit like,
I'll be offended.
all right. So 100%, I would be I would be deeply offended. I was enraged hearing this story at first. I've made my peace with it now. And so they'd have sex, and when they were ready to finish, he'd have a wank.
Mm-hmm.
So he would finish, but not during sex.
So-
and we had a whole conversation about it where we were trying to kind of dissect, like, why is this the same guy that wouldn't kiss her after she'd sucked his dick too, which I just thought,
get it,
I thought was rich. So I do think this is really on him,
That
100%, 100%. But we had a whole conversation about it where I said, you know, like, we obviously don't know his history, but I was like, maybe if he hadn't had a lot of sexual partners and had frequently masturbated, and so he'd worked out how he likes to come and he knows how to make himself come a lot because maybe he's masturbated a lot, maybe not, but he knows how he likes to come.
Yeah.
That when they have sex, the sensation, as good as it might be, isn't the sensation he's used to in being able to come. You know what I mean? And so that might be not even a horrible thing on her. It's more about his, like, he should try and unlearn that
I
and
can tell you
discover
exactly
new
what this
things with
is.
his partner.
It's so common. It's called delayed ejaculation. So it's the opposite of premature ejaculation. And it is a problem. And it comes from not from masturbating too much, but from gripping too hard.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like his
desensitized.
technique.
Yeah.
So like his technique of how he masturbates is how he
desensitized
knows
to
how to come. And like maybe from
Pussy
having
ain't gonna be
less
as
sex-
tight as that grip, is it? Like,
yeah, no, and like, you know, just being like more lubricated.
Yeah.
And things like that, the sensation
Yeah.
on a guy's dick is going to be different. So it's not what he's used to making himself come.
I grip quite tight. So I just tell girls, just grip tight.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
just
yeah.
plenty of lubrication and then you won't hurt.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I come. Like a girl would say, I need you to finger me this way, or I need you to
X,
fuck
Y,
me
and
in this
Z.
position.
Well,
you know,
it's-
like it's the same
it's
thing. And
how
guys
he's-
should be okay to say that.
It's how he's trained his body.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So
okay.
he can unlearn it by just easing up a little bit,
And that's
slowing
the thing.
down.
He should unlearn that, like with himself while masturbating. Like try different techniques and see how they feel for you. And also, again, like be open, be honest, communicate, do all those things with your partner. Try new things, try different positions.
Anal.
Like you should just anal.
And
Go
nerves-
straight to anal. But you know, like do different
Nerves
things.
could be part
but
of it as well, again.
It was such a fascinating topic.
Yeah.
I never thought of that before because I would be dead insulted.
Yeah.
Was he circumcised?
It's incredibly common.
I
Incredibly
don't know,
common.
we didn't get
Do you
that
think
deep.
circumcised dicks become more
That they're
desensitized
yeah, they are
because they are
desensitized. Yeah.
uncovered? I've always thought because it's constantly rubbing against your box.
there's
the
a
guy
move-
that came
Yeah,
straight
that
away
would
was
make sense.
circumcised.
What do you prefer?
Mm.
Uncircumcised. And you
I
know
don't
what was
care.
really funny? I went years of having sex. I went years of having sex and like only ever sleeping with circumcised guys. And my cousin, who's my best friend, like we lost our virginity within 3 days of each other while in different countries. Had no idea. We were just that connected.
Love that.
And we got to a point, I think maybe when we were like late teens, early 20s or something, where we had this conversation. I was like, oh, I've never had sex with an uncircumcised guy. And she was like, what? I've never had sex with a circumcised guy.
what?
And we were like, that is wild. And it had been a whole thing. And then I went through a real mental thing of, well, I've only really had a lot of one night stands, so I probably don't see a lot of soft dicks. I was really like, maybe I just haven't noticed because I haven't paid a lot of attention.
They've been undercover.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like that is a real thing, isn't it? With like circumcised dicks are less sensitive because
they're
they're getting
Yeah.
so much stimulation all the time. Not even sexual stimulation,
Just
but
scent.
yeah.
The skin goes tougher, I think. It's like
Oh, really?
yeah, because otherwise
To
you'd be,
brace themselves.
you'd be in pain just from your underwear.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I had it
From
back.
friction.
Yeah.
and yeah. Wild.
Nah.
You know, there's like a movement in the US to grow back foreskin.
Oh.
And
Is that possible?
yeah, so what
With
they
like stem cells.
no, it takes about a year or 2 years, and they hang weights off it. They clip
Oh,
them on,
yeah.
Dear
okay,
Lord.
yeah.
Okay.
and it's about the weight of a potato.
I love that. I don't agree with circumcision unless it's for medical reason.
Yeah, with me, I don't agree unless it's for like religious reasons. 'Cause I understand like culture.
Yeah, I can understand. Like I'm not religious,
Yeah.
so I
I'm not
stay out of the
religious,
religious
but,
conversation.
yeah.
But I
No.
feel like anyone should be able to do whatever they want to do. Like
Yeah.
it's not,
No.
it's your body, your choice kind of stuff.
It's gentle mutilation.
Yeah, it's an
I
interesting
agree.
way to look at, especially
It
because it
is,
happens
like-
to babies.
yeah,
Like it's not
exactly.
their
Not-
choice.
Anyway,
That's
another
common.
story.
Yeah, and it has had like sexual health positive implications in some poorer countries.
Yeah.
So like there's
Yeah.
benefits and you
And
know,
medically, I'm sure as
yeah.
well. In
Sometimes
terms
you
of,
have to. Yeah. there's
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
loads
that's
of-
what I mean.
yeah.
Unless it's for like a medical reason where it's too tight, whatever. But like other than that, yeah.
Yeah, this is the bit where it's going to get all the comments. By the way.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's how I feel about it.
No, I said the same thing on another podcast, which is why I'm not saying it again today.
Yeah. You're trying to censor yourself now so
Yeah.
you don't get all those.
Just get me
comments.
cancelled.
Yeah.
I've already said it, so I don't need to say it again.
Yeah.
The heat can go on you.
Second interview that'll get you cancelled now.
Oh no. Flippity flops.
Flippity flops. Okay, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, foreplay, guys.
Yeah.
Focus on the foreplay.
Turn us on.
The main thing
Get-
that
Don't take too long.
Pre-wank.
yeah, main takeaway is that all night sex doesn't mean all night penetration,
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and see a doctor.
And
See a doctor.
See a doctor.
And a therapist.
Yeah, no, well, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank
Like,
you.
worries,
That was
thank you.
fun. I
Yeah, that was
enjoyed
fun.
it.
Yeah.
And feel
great.
free to tell people where they can find you with Instagram or
Of
something.
course.
Or
Amazing.
Yeah. I am on Instagram and Twitter as the Chloe May XO.
And I'm on Instagram as Scarlet Minx.
And I'm on Instagram and Twitter as Roxy Winters Kiss.
I feel like there was like an introduction of a girl band or something, and now
I
you need
know,
to do a
that was
song.
great.
She did that. It was like
That's
X Factor.
Love
We're the
it.
group.
Love it.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
that was
thank
awesome.
you. That was
Cheers.
cool. Thank you. I need a wee.